I'm Lindsay Stovall. I'm the Director of Admissions and Marketing for SJR, and we are a school of about 860 students, junior, middle, and senior school students ranging from kindergarten to grade 12. We have boarding students as well from all over the world, about 15 to 40 students depending on the year. Obviously the pandemic had some effects on boarding in all schools, but we're excited to see what this year brings. So I'll start with Lillian. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Lillian. I'm an alumni from SJR. So I started attending in grade 5 and then I graduated in 2020. So I'm in my first year of university now.
Great. And Betty Jo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Betty Jo Young, and I have a daughter who is now going into grade 10, and she started at SJR in grade 7. And yeah, so much of a good chunk of her time at SJR has been kind of a little bit remote in her bedroom. But overall, I would say the experience has been really good. So yeah, so I'm still, I don't want to say I'm new to the school anymore because I'm not. And I specifically joined the PA because I knew that that time between grade 7 and grade 12 was going to fly. So I thought I better just jump right into the school and learn more about it because, well, I still can. So yeah, nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to start with questions for Lillian, and we'll just do a whole bunch of questions for you, and then I'll come over to you, Betty Jo, after we ask Lillian a bunch of questions. So let's start things off. So Lillian, what did you appreciate most about the school during your time there? And how has your perspective on that changed now that you've graduated and you are at a distance from the school?
Yeah, I would definitely have to say the opportunities it gave me outside of the classroom and not just in. I went on like public speaking trips to Toronto to participate in the world competition of public speaking, and I met people from around the world. I still have people that I like network with in South Africa and in India. So crazy opportunities there in like the network connections that we got through alumni events, through connections to volunteering places. I remember I went and volunteered somewhere with my advisory, my homeroom in grade 7, and I've been volunteering there for 7 years now. So SJR has really allowed me to branch out to different places that are like important parts of my life now. And then I think this year in university, I finally realized that that's not as common as I thought, that a lot of schools don't give you as many networking and opportunities and things like that. And I think that's what has set me above other students and how prepared and how experienced I am, because you can have like similar academic levels or excelled academic levels, but having real world experiences and opportunities and connections that can't really be replicated. And I think that's definitely the difference I've seen in how prepared and experienced I am for university.
Oh, that's great. What, to the best of your knowledge, most differentiates SJR from other schools?
I think that there's honestly just a average higher standard of expectation in like academics and how much work you're going to put in and how involved and how well-rounded you should be. And I don't think that it's the school that creates it and then pushes it on students. I think it's actually like student driven and student generated, because I think it just cultivates and brings in a group of students that want to work really hard and want to get involved and want to give back to the community. And so then you are able to be surrounded by a group of peers that are all like trying really hard and really want to succeed, which I don't think occurs and is there and is present at other schools. It's really, really a group of kids that set a high standard of, well, as Usher would say, a high standard of excellence, one of our old mottos. But yeah, no, I think that like what differentiates us is the group of students and the standard that is set for how much you want to work and excel at what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Have you found that in university, like that's been a key piece for you?
Yeah, because I think it just sort of like the what I expect of myself is set higher than a lot of other students, which just helps me because I'm used to putting in a lot of work. I'm used to like branching out and trying to make connections because it's what everyone did at the school and it's not what everyone does at university. So I think it definitely helps me.
Definitely. So this is a fun question. If the school were to be represented as a single person, what would its personality be like in 3 words?
Ooh. Okay, well, the easiest is studious. I don't think it's surprising to anyone that when you go to SGR, you're gonna have to study. You're gonna have to work really hard. It's part of the reason why I wanted to go there and why it's a good school. I think I have to say passionate too. I think the school encourages kids to be passionate about things, which is really, really good because it helps kids find their passion and then it encourages them to follow them and to pursue them and gives them opportunities to pursue them. Uh, Third one, let's say personable. A lot of schools, I feel like you can be an individual and you won't be particularly noticed, but SGR really wants like to connect with each student, know each student's name because it's a little bit smaller than some high schools. They're able to do that. So it's really like it's on a one-on-one level. They'll know each student. You get individual attention. It's very personable in that way.
Definitely. Would you say that there's passions that you took on or really got into because of your time at SJR?
Yeah, definitely. I never would have probably figured out that I was passionate about public speaking, but then we had a public speaking class that everyone took as an elective in grade 6, found out I really liked it, and then the school was like, you can keep doing that. I keep doing it. School's like, hey, we can go to Toronto to do that. I'm like, okay. So it helps cultivate and like help you find your passion and then pursue it. Yeah.
That's great. What one thing would you change about the school for the better if you had to choose something?
Yeah. I think that the school should have even more opportunities to branch out with groups and communities in Winnipeg outside of the private school sector. Uh, Probably one of the highlights of my time at SJR was I did a youth to youth program. So we mentored students from Dufferin School and Inner City School in Winnipeg. And it was really nice for us to be able to, of course, like give back and help guide younger kids through their studies and through life. But I think it made a really big positive impact on a lot of the students at SJR because it is true that when you're at SJR, you could be there your whole life. It is somewhat of like a sheltered community. And so some of my favorite times at SJR is when they like make an effort to have us branch out and connect with the rest of Winnipeg. And I can see it really positively impacts students when they start like learning about and appreciating everything else that happens in our city.
Absolutely. What would families find most surprising about our school, about SJR?
Definitely the dedication of the teachers. That's one I didn't expect when I showed up. I went to a public school where like teachers are good. You have some that you like better, some that you like worse. At SJR, I've found that the standard of teachers being willing to like have extra time with students and give them extra help is so much higher than I expected and so much higher than other schools. I've had teachers that are like, yeah, you can come in before school and I'll help you for this test. And pretty much any teacher, if you ask, can you stay in during lunch? Yeah, they're like happy to offer to help you. They'll stay after school to help you. They'll give you extra worksheets and extra practice tests to help you. And pretty much as like an average, every teacher at SJR is really dedicated to having the kids succeed and will put in a lot of extra effort, which I find really surprising and really impressive.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to students just entering the school?
I think branch out and seek the opportunities that SJR offers. There's a lot that you get in class, but don't focus too much just on the work. I think most of my classmates would agree, like our best memories and our best experiences come from the extracurriculars at SJR and not just class. We have like rock show that a lot of people connected a lot with and found a community there. There's so many clubs for things like trivia, the sports I have so many close friends and communities from hockey, from basketball, from soccer, our drama program. A lot of people have their like group of community that they've found there. So if you come to SJR, don't just limit yourself to what you're being offered in class. Like go out and look for those opportunities that we offer because there's so many and they're really, really good. Like every student, that is what they find their like deepest connection with, I find.
Do you have a favorite memory, like one memory that really stands out for you? I'm throwing this at you, but
A day-to-day memory, like my favorite part of SJR, I always remember is the lunch hall. I like food a lot, so that's an easy one. But more than that, like SJR, you have everyone in one room. In junior and middle school, you sit with like your house. So I remember that generating like a lot of spirit and like community bonding with that. And then in high school, you get to sit with whoever you want, and it's big family style tables. And I know our headmaster would walk around on certain days of the week and talk to students. And I really remember that being like when I felt most connected with everyone, since you're all together, you're just talking, you're happy. And for a particular memory, probably the public speaking trip to Worlds was just really, really like magical and very, very cool. So that's my singular memory and my day-to-day favorite time at SGR, lunch hall for sure. And not just because the food is amazing, for the people too.
well, thank you, Lillian. That's you've really provided some great insight. So thank you so much. I will move over to Betty Jo. So Betty Jo, I have some questions for you. We'll start with, why did you choose to send your daughter to SJR originally? And in which ways is the school what you expected and not what you expected?
We were, Nev left in grade 6, so she needed to change schools for grade 7. So we were looking for another school potentially. And we had friends who had recently put their child into kindergarten at SJR, close friends of ours, and they couldn't say enough about how fantastic the school was and how not just, for her child, not just for kindergarten, but just everyone at the school was so engaged with the whole process. So they said to us, we highly recommend that you send your daughter there. So we said, well, okay, well, we'll look into a little bit more. And of course, it's one of those things where you start talking about it, you start paying attention, and you realize that, hey, we do actually know quite a few people who have sent their children here. And we would talk to other people about it, and they all had just wonderful things to say about SJR and how well it prepared their kids for school, all the different activities they were involved in, like Lillian said. So we went on a tour, and actually we ended up doing a couple of tours, but the other thing that really impressed me and really drove it home with my husband was how the communication skills of the kids. And I know that the kids who are picked to do the tours are probably picked for a reason, but the communication skills, they were so articulate and so just friendly, and it just seemed like the kids that I knew of that same age didn't seem to be quite like that. So it really made an impression on us. So we went for it. We applied, and we got in, and yeah, and the rest is history. So just to carry on with your questions there too, Lindsay, was the school what we expected? Yeah. So we expected that the academic portion would be strong, that there would be a lot of studying, that there would be a lot of work involved, and you kind of get into it, and you don't. Like Lillian said, if though that's all you kind of know from a school perspective, that's all you know. So you just kind of get used to the fact, well, okay, well, Nev's got lots of homework today. And at first it kind of freaked her out a little bit. And of course, a couple of them who were newer to the school at the same time, this is way more homework than I think they're getting at public schools. And but you know, it was not a deterrent. And they so the academic piece was definitely what I expected and did not disappoint. um, I was surprised at all of the different extracurricular activities. So that was something that I wasn't quite, you know, I kind of had an idea that there were a lot, but I didn't realize there were quite as many. You know, the other piece, though, that kind of I was a little unexpected was um, I felt like there was, I know it's kind of the opposite of what Lillian had just said with this, with the academic kind of extra support. But I found that it seemed like there's a lot of kids still doing extra outside tutoring and taking a little bit more extra. But so that kind of surprised me a bit. But I think it goes to the fact that these kids are just so driven and they want to do well and they want to do these things. I know some parents just want to, you know, do that, get their kids up and running too, and make sure that they're strong academically. But yeah, so that was the only thing that kind of surprised me a little bit about the school. But other than that, it was pretty bang on with what I expected, certainly from an academic perspective.
Great, great. What is the biggest impact the school has had on your child?
I think I'd fall back to the academic piece. So I think the impact there has been her discipline and drive and the skills that she's been acquiring and her organizational skills. So I think that the school is really fostering certainly that university preparedness. And I know it starts even earlier than grade 7, but I started to see it pretty quick. Grade 7, grade 8, certainly grade 9 moving forward. So I think one of the biggest impacts has just been her development of this routine and this discipline and the resulting you know, success that she's had within her courses that is really preparing her not only for university but for life.
Definitely. How do you think your daughter would say, like, what the school is like, or her view of it?
So we talked a little bit about that today because I just wanted to make sure that nothing has really changed because, you know, they say one thing one day and then it's different the next. But no, so if you were to ask her, she would say it's big. It's a big school and it's hard and we get a lot of homework and we get way more homework than the public schools get, and it's a way harder than the public schools. And I said, is that a bad thing? She goes, no. So she recognizes that they do more work and they do probably work harder. However, she also recognizes that she wouldn't change it.
Well, that's great. What do you, or sorry, if the school were to be represented by a single person, what would its personality be like in 3 words from your perspective?
So I was comparing Lillian's answer to what I had kind of thought about. I think it's probably fairly similar. I had caring, consistent, and driven. So I didn't want driven to be the predominant word there because I think that it is the kids who drive themselves to a degree, but it's because of the school. So I would say that, yes, those 3 words.
How would you describe the values of the school and the values of the families in the school community? Do you feel that they mesh well? Are they similar values? What do those values look like?
Yeah, I think that they mesh well. I think that of the families, many of the families I know or I have met at my time there, certainly the focus is on there's a lot of focus on the academics. There is certainly an appreciation for the extracurricular activities. And maybe my answer will be a little bit jaded because it's been the last year and a half has been kind of funny. But so I think that maybe there's been more focus on the academics than the extracurriculars for obvious reasons. But I think that, you know, I think that that people expect that their kids are going to be, they're going to a place where people care about them, where people are going to look out for them. When COVID first hit last year, or a year and a half ago, Nev's teacher called, like her grade 8 teacher called every week. It was fabulous. It was just like I did not expect that to happen. And I know not every teacher was doing that or could do that. But, when you hear about different schools in other parts of the city and, some of the struggles that other schools may be having, it was really, really great to know that the school, that SJR was putting that extra effort out and really caring about the kids and making sure that they had what they needed to be able to succeed at home. So it was, those types of values. And I know, especially with the kids who are in younger age groups, that was, that was really, really important to them, to the parents, that the teachers were able to help out with those little ones too, because that was a challenge. So I would say that certainly over the last couple of years, that the values that the school has around the academia, the caring, and the kind of the expectations that they have on the kids too, is definitely meshing with the values of the parents and what the parents were hoping to get.
Speaking of COVID and just this past year and how difficult it's been for everyone, how do you feel? So you spoke to a little bit about how it affected your own daughter. How do you feel it's overall was in terms of her learning and just being able to access materials and have classes? Do you feel she was able to still do well in school and get that learning that she was intended to have?
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, we don't really have much to compare it to, but both my husband and I were impressed all along by the support and the way that SJR was able to just, pivot and do the whole virtual, the virtual learning. And we feel that it was special, and we're grateful for all of that because she did well. It's part of her personality too. She kind of liked being in her room to go to school, but we can't, we're not certain by any means that if she was in a different school that it would have been the same. And the other thing that I think is fabulous, is that SJR had the kids do exams. And I know that there was a little bit of stress or a little anxiety maybe around that for some kids, but I think that was really important and that it stayed in line with the values of the school. So I was very impressed with that.
Definitely. Thank you. I'm going to just go back to Lillian for a minute. So you had an interesting year in university, first year university, all from home, doing it all online. How do you feel SJR actually prepared you for that as being a completely new experience and out of the blue having to shift your learning to something completely different? How do you feel SJR prepared you for that?
I would say definitely in teaching me how to be self-motivated and diligent. I had SJR online virtual learning when I graduated, and then I shifted to university. And in university, you don't keep up, you're gone. Like they do not check up on you. They do not call you to see how you're doing. And I think that if I hadn't had SJR teaching me all along, like you need to keep up on your work, and you can branch out, like you can ask for help, but you need to be doing this yourself, I would not have been able to keep up as well as I did, especially given the virtual environment for university. And I think the other one would just be like the level of work that I'm able to produce, especially with essays, is always what I see the biggest difference. SJR like has you writing solid essays. We teach you how to write proper papers, and a lot of other high schools will be stuck with like the you have 3 paragraphs, your intro, your body, your conclusion, and in university they want the papers that SGR teaches. And I can always see a difference between students, especially when it's online. So you can't compare yourself to other students until it's handed in. That like the caliber and level of work that is handed in, SGR sets you where university is going to need you to be, which helped me so much, especially since I wasn't in the environment.
Did you, so for applying to university, what was your hope in terms of where you were going to go, what you were going to do? What was your plan leaving high school?
Well, I had a very unconventional plan. So I'm not the average SGR student to ask. Miss Teixeira is our university advisor, so she helps you apply. She is abundantly useful, so helpful. She will like have all of us that want to apply to a university come apply together so we don't make any mistakes, help us with our applications. She's amazing. So she helped me apply to a number of universities, and I wanted to either go to McGill University for political science or the National Circus School for a college degree in circus arts. And she magically managed to help me with both. So she was very versatile. And I ended up picking McGill because I wanted to do academics with a side of circus as opposed to circus with a side of academics. But yeah, SJR really, really, really helps with university applications, and it helps students so much just because it is such a stressful experience. Like it's the first time we have to make big important life decisions, and so to know that you have a school that's like helping you make sure you don't make mistakes and helping you figure out what you want to do really, really helped me to figure out what I was going to do with my life.
Betty Jo, I'm going to come back to you a little bit and ask you, does your daughter have a thought as to where she wants to go to university, her plan might be for the future? What do you see her wanting to do?
Well, that changes as well. But our most recent conversations have been that she wants to leave. She would like to go to university outside of Manitoba, which is great, but we live down the street from the U of M. So I'm like, what? So yeah, so she would like to go outside of outside of Manitoba. Not sure what that would look like yet. She's really expressing a lot of interest, and she does well in the sciences. So she's, math, science. She's interested in chemistry, physics, going that route a bit because, she wants to be an astronaut. So she's going to space. So that is her latest and greatest. And she's been doing some, self-directed space projects over the summer. And she's really, she wants to be an astronaut. So we'll see where that goes.
Very interesting. Good for her. That's big dreams. That's amazing. We love big dreams. Well, that's all the questions I have for tonight, but thank you both so much for being a part of this. It's so lovely to chat and just to hear different perspectives about the school, and be able to share that with our greater community. So thank you both for being part of it, and I look forward to chatting with you both again soon.